Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Barb Griffin with the Allegheny County Bar Foundation's Pro Bono Center. I see we still have people coming in. So I'll get started with some remarks. First of all, I want to thank Plan and Kelly at Plan, the Pennsylvania Legal Aid Network, for hosting this CLE today, putting it together. And this project actually is made possible by a grant from Plan. And we are collaborating with Neighborhood Legal Services. And I thank Christine Kirby and everyone at Neighborhood for their help on this project also. But this project will allow us to help individuals who are facing barriers to employment, to housing, to education, based upon a criminal record. A conviction that can't be expunged, that can't be sealed, that can only come off the record through the pardon process. And today you're going to hear from Tobey Oxholm about that process and how you can maximize the chances for success for people who are trying to go through this process. I had a waiting list about a year ago of individuals who were needed to get pardons, but we didn't have the resources to do it at that point. And so when we got funded for this project, I pulled out that waiting list and started contacting those people. And I was a little surprised to see that none of them so far that I've talked to had started that process on their own. Even though there are some self-help resources out there, none of them had started the process. And, you know, for you all as volunteer attorneys, you're going to see how you can easily help with this process. But for individuals that we serve with very low incomes, there are a lot of reasons why they don't do it on their own. An application form, you know, still seems daunting. Understanding the process, the feeling that they have to go through it on their own is scary. So attorneys really can make a difference in getting this life-changing process started. So with that, I will turn it over to Tobey Oxholm to talk to you about the pardons process.
Hey, hello, everybody. Hello from scenic Pocono Mountains, which is where I am greeting you from today. Heck of a lot easier to get to Pittsburgh from here by Zoom than by plane. But it is really terrifically fun for me to be doing this. I've been working recently with Lori McMaster and Elizabeth Hughes on Bar Association stuff. I've been working forever and 3 days with Bob Rakunas, who remains a hero of mine from, I don't know, the 70s when I first met him, I think. And so it's really a pleasure for me to be working with, collaborating with, scheming with the Allegheny County Bar Association and its leadership in an area that is of such fundamental importance to low-income folks around the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And what Barb said, it was exactly right. 2 years ago, the application form was 9 pages long with 14 pages of instruction written in the most beautiful, elegant bureaucrat language that you'd ever want. And if you managed to get through it, which 84% of the people didn't, you'd still have to end up going to Harrisburg for a hearing in the Supreme Court room to finish it up 5 years later. Okay, any reason why people weren't completing it or weren't believing in it, or you couldn't get lawyers to help with it? This is a no-brainer. Everything has changed, everything. And so what I really hope what will get done today is not to put this on legal services. This is not a legal services project. Well, it is, because it helps low-income folks, and it's fundamental, it's critical to their economic well-being. It is. But this is for pro bono attorneys. This is going to prove to you, everybody out there, all you guys, that you could do this, and it's going to take you no time at all, and you're going to be embarrassed that private lawyers are charging $5,000 to their wealthy clients to help them in this process. You private attorneys on the line, this is terrific good news, because once you're an expert helping poor people, you can help rich people and get paid for it. You can help the children of the CEO of your most important companies. There are so many things available to you on the website, on Pulse's website. www.pulsephilly.org, that'll show you how to get through this. You cannot fail. And I promise, after going through all this, you won't be able to fail. You have my word on it, and you have my email address and my cell phone, so you can get to me anytime. Okay, so we're going to start off with why you should do this pro bono. Everybody knows the pro bono rules, but this is a limited representation. Really, all you're doing is doing short-term legal services such as advice and the completion of a legal form. That's what we're talking about. Just finish the form. There is no expectation that you have to keep going. If you do, it's terrific, but you don't have to. And it's a basic responsibility of our profession. It's what makes us all feel good about ourselves. But it's more than that. Pennsylvania, we are living the inheritance of mass incarceration. We have the most people in prison. We have the most people out of prison under probation and parole. I was just talking to Matt Dugan, the public defender of Allegheny County. He says that 30 to 40,000 new criminal cases are started every year. And that's just out where you are. That's not including Philadelphia, which we always do things 3 times more than you guys. So the numbers of people in Pennsylvania with criminal convictions, criminal records is astonishing. And it isn't all equal among us. We're not all in this together. The racial impact is significant. The social justice impact is significant. And the implications for jobs are terrible. I mean, look at this list. This is a list from CLS put out, Community Legal Services put out 5 years ago. Look at that list of careers and jobs you cannot get if you have a criminal record. These are just the ones where you have to get a state license. All right, so cosmetologist, what's that, right? Hair braider. You may ask yourself, well, why do you need a license from the state to get a hair braid license, to do hair braiding? But beyond that, if you had a conviction when you were 18 for drugs, why can't you be a hair braider at 32? Good moral character, that's why, yeah. And look at these other jobs, right? Almost everything in healthcare. Well, where do we need help these days? Yeah, or childcare. Can't get anywhere near kids if you have criminal records. So COVID is teaching us that we need to get more people out there doing the work that needs to be done. Those are the essential workers. Get them in healthcare, get them with kids. The overlap between pardons and poverty is unmistakable. It's undeniable. Earl Buford's saying it out in your neck of the woods. Our guys are saying it here. The United Way is saying it. The Secretary of Labor and Industry has said, look, we got to get people beyond their criminal records to make sure our workforce is competitive for the state's reason. Okay, that's a good one. And look what happened just earlier this year in April when the Economy League comes out with a study saying $16.5 million came to Pennsylvania communities all across the state just by giving somebody a pardon so that they could earn more money and get more money in their salary. 16.5 million for nothing, right? Who wouldn't want to do that? In order to get a pardon, you got to go through a process. Most of us know about expungements. That's how you get a judge to actually clear the non-conviction data. It's all the charges that you were arrested for but not convicted of because they were withdrawn, null prost, changed. The judge said they're terrible, or you were found innocent. Judges can expunge those. Judges can also expunge convictions for summary offenses like, public intoxication or urination, after 5 years. They can also expunge convictions for people who've been 70 years old and arrest-free for 10 years. And this being Pennsylvania, they can also expunge the criminal records of dead people. Not just dead, 3 years dead. This is Pennsylvania. Anyway, who knows what's going to happen the first 2 years, right? But if you don't fall into one of those categories, the only way you can get a criminal conviction for a felony or a misdemeanor erased from your record is by going first to the governor, getting a pardon, and then going to the court. And this is a matter of constitutional dimension. The power to pardon is in the Constitution, and you can only get to the governor if you go through the Pennsylvania Board of Pardons after a full hearing in open session upon due public notice. Okay, so who are these dudes, the Board of Pardons? You got the Lieutenant Governor, who's the chair, the Attorney General, who is there because he's the Attorney General, members appointed by the governor with a majority of the Senate. This is a crime victim, a corrections expert, and a doctor of medicine who today is a psychiatrist. And those are the 5. Now, in order to get I should say, we're only talking about helping people who are already living out in our communities. I'm not talking about commuting sentences. We're not talking about letting people out of prisons or even ending their probation or parole. We're talking about pardoning people who have already completed their sentences and are living among us as our neighbors, okay? That's what the pardon stuff is all about. And as you'll see, you don't need a whole lot to get through this system. You only need 4 votes. All right, so here's the process. You get the application. You used to have to write away for it and pay for it. It's free now. It's on the internet. You can download it with, I don't know, some device, and you can make it a writable PDF if you have that technology. After you actually get it mailed in, the Board of Pardons sends it over to probation and parole to do the investigation, and the parole agent checks with the president judge and the DA. He'll go check, or she'll check with the victim, the employer of the applicant, him or herself, maybe their, I don't know, landlord, whatever. Look, it's whatever they want to check, they can. And then the parole agent writes up a report and sends it off to the Board of Pardons, where they then, the 5 of them, get together and review them and decide who gets to have a hearing. The Constitution requires a full open hearing. In order to get a hearing, you only need 2 votes, 2 out of 5. That's manageable, right? And once you get to the hearing, you need 3 votes, 3 out of 5. Now, again, we're not talking about lifers and people with death penalties. They need 5, but that again is commutation. We're talking just pardons. You only need 3 votes. And with 3 votes, your name and application goes to the governor, and the governor gets to decide. So 3 Board of Pardons, 1 governor, 4 people is all you have to convince. Jurors, they're usually more than 4, right? So we lawyers can do this. We are talking about persuading 4 people. Now, the good news is the process is free. The hearings are now virtual. You don't have to travel from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg anymore and back in the same day, or from Erie or anywhere else. They're attending by Zoom. This Board of Pardons is recommending 85% of the people whose applications they hear, and the governor is recommending 99%, and the courts are granting expungements to 100%. So we're talking about huge possibilities for second chances. And here's the kicker. The kicker is that just under 2/3 of the people are getting a hearing, which is why you are here. Your job, should you choose to accept it, is to help people write good applications so they get a hearing. All right, now we're going to talk about the law, because this is a CLE and you really got to know the law. So here's the law. Seriously, here's the law. That's what it is. There is no law. The Board of Pardons is created by the Constitution. The pardon power was given by King James II to William Penn. There is no law on this, Jack. It's all discretion. The law says the courts can't interfere, the legislature can't interfere, they can't dictate, they can't prescribe, they can't limit. The Board of Pardons never has to explain. They never have to say why they're sorry, right? I mean, how cool is this? They just get to decide and move on. That's the law. So it's all discretion. Now look at the opportunity. Remember I was telling you that 30 to 35,000 new criminal cases start every year in Allegheny County? Look how many people apply for a pardon. In the most heavily incarcerated state, in 3rd most heavily incarcerated state in the country, and since America is the most heavily incarcerated country in the world, Pennsylvania is 3rd in the world among countries who incarcerate their people. Think of the opportunity. Think about the people who are walking around out there with criminal records. All right, so who's a good candidate? Who can we get in line? Okay, so this is you're not going to find this written anywhere. This is what we've learned. This is how we've heard about it. This is how we've watched it. And this is what you have to know as you help people. No convictions anywhere, anytime for a crime involving sex or serious violence. Assault is fine, simple assault. Aggravated assault is not so fine, okay? Rape, abuse of a kid, not so fine. Doesn't mean you can't get a pardon. It just means you have to wait longer and prove over a longer period of time that you've really turned the corner and you're not a bad guy anymore. What we're really talking about in the pro bono world is people who have not committed crimes hurting anybody, not doing any more than a simple assault, not mostly doing drug crimes, mostly when they were 18 to 22 and they're now like 35 or 40 trying to support a family. So no convictions in any other state or in the federal system for sex or serious violence. 5 years since the completion of sentence, not necessarily at the time they apply. It's taking 2 years right now to go from the moment your application gets in to the moment you get your hearing. When it comes time for the hearing, you have to have 5 years of, walking on the straight and narrow. But if you're 3 years from having completed your sentence, you only got 2 more years to go. Just keep on the straight and narrow. So it's a good urging. It's a good reinforcement of continuing to do the right things. You got to have specific goals and good reasons why you want a pardon. Well, duh. I mean, honestly, Pennsylvania is one of the very few states in the country with a constitutional right to reputation. I'm not kidding. Look it up. A right to reputation. Like, I don't want my kid to know that I was a druggie growing up, or I'm not a prostitute anymore, or yeah, I robbed a few people, but I needed to live. They can get expunged after a pardon, after time has passed because you have changed, okay? Or I want to go into nursing school, or I want to become an accountant, or whatever it might be. Great reasons. If you had a problem with drug or alcohol, you need to be 5 years clean and sober by the time you go before the board, so they know you won't fall off the wagon again, right? So you can apply after 3. But they're trying to prove you're going to be, you really have turned around and you're not going to fall back into bad ways. There needs to be, beyond all this, a record of giving back, beyond just completing your sentence. What have you done? You hurt us? How have you helped us? A lot of our clients at this socioeconomic level don't have time to volunteer. They're running 2-3 jobs just to stay, floating. They don't have time to volunteer. They have to. They have to, okay? So if they haven't before, it's okay. It's not a requirement to apply. It's a question everybody gets asked at the hearing. So start them volunteering ASAP, next week, next month, helping people deliver turkeys or Christmas presents to kids or driving people to the polls. Whatever it is, get them doing something to help other people. And if it's in the same area where they had their conviction, like making sure kids don't follow them into the drug trade or don't do bad stuff after school or whatever, all the better, because they're looking to see that you've learned from your experience with the justice system. And then the bottom one, surprise, they want you to be registered to vote. Shocking. Yes, in Pennsylvania, if you are a convicted felon, you can vote, except if you're in prison for that felony. Anybody else can vote. The Board of Pardons is looking for an indication that you see yourself as a citizen. So register to vote. It's what citizens do. And please, God, vote. Anyway, so that's what a good candidate is. And now I'm going to show you the form. But I think we have a question coming out so you can prove you're actually still awake. Ellie, hit it. There it is. Hello, are you alive? Yeah, good question. All right, I'm good with that. So answer that so we can go forward. All right, so now I'm going to show you the application for clemency, and I'm going to prove to you that there is no way you cannot be an expert in almost no time. All right, so now I'm going to see if I can find on this where, hold on, I got to find out. This always lets me down. New share here. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to the Board of Pardons website. Barb, I can see your head. Can you see the important alert in the middle of the screen there? Actually, all I have is your meme. I can't see it at all. Somebody break in and say, can you see this important alert?
Yes,
Yes, you can see it.
Excellent. Okay. This is really good. When you go to this website, which is bop.pa.gov, you're going to see the important alert. Don't send in your application without attaching the criminal records you need to attach. Okay, that's the rule. You can't get a pardon for things they don't know you committed. So you got to prove what you committed. I'm a civil lawyer. What do I know? So you press here, and it generates this page, which gives you the same form, the same warning. And then it lists the documents you need: the criminal complaint, the affidavit of probable cause, the criminal information, the plea or verdict, and the sentencing order. Those are the 5 things you need for every crime of which the person has been convicted. So if they were convicted 3 times, you need 15 documents, and you got to get them from the court, and you cannot send this application in. And if you don't know what they look like, all you have to do is click and look. There it is. There's a sentencing report. Who knew? I'm a civil lawyer. I was always a good boy. What do I know from these things? You can see, all right? And if you don't know, if your client actually got, I don't know, convicted in Erie, and you don't know how to get there, you come over here down to the right-hand side where it says Clerk of Courts. You come here, and look what these guys have done. They've given you the names, addresses, and phone numbers of the people you have to call. So really, you can do this. Okay, so you're there. All right, so now we're going even farther. And we're scrolling.
Toby, can I just interject just one thing for our volunteers? On this particular project, we'll have all of those documents for you when you get assigned the client. So, but we do want you to double check and make sure that they're all there.
Excellent. Well, that is cool. I wish I had you working for us, because we got, we have a devil of a time getting our records from Philadelphia County. Don't tell anyone I said so, but it is tough. Anyway. You go here, here's the form, you can download the Adobe Reader, and then you can do it. Once you do that, you can download the application packet. Barb, are you giving them the packet, the actual form too?
We are giving you the actual form with the basic information in there, but you'll be asked to review every line with the client.
And one of the things that I asked to be sent around is actually a Word version of this form. So if you have it, you can open it and you can take notes right on it. But this flips you over to the instructions. The whole thing is 18 pages long. I'm going to blow through it real fast. And that's just the way this works. It'll say, well, do you want to learn about sealing, which are the limited access? No. You want to learn about commutations? No. You want to learn about pardons? Yes. Okay. Then you come in here and it tells you again what things you have to get. Here are the court documents. Okay. And then over here, it tells you what the instructions are. I'm going to give them to you, but you can always come back and read them if you fall asleep during the show here. All right, so you can do that. And now we're moving on to factors considered by the Board of Pardons in evaluating pardon or commutation requests. Okay, you can read all this. It's there. I'm telling you what they're looking for. They want to know, have you really turned the corner? Have you really commenced on a new life? How can we be sure? Okay, why do you need a pardon? Duh, this is easy. And I'm going to show you where it comes into the form. But they're looking to be sure they ain't going to see your face ever again if once they give you a pardon. Predicting future conduct is always tough. I'm trying to get the board to look at only what they've done since they were justice involved and let people seize their potential for the first time by just freeing them from their criminal records. They're not there yet. So they're still looking for the story, the narrative of a person's life, or how they came from where they were to where they are, know where they're going. That's what pardon application is all about. So here it is. It used to be 9 pages. This one could be just 4. It could be longer if you have more conviction. Just 4. All right, first rule. Please be honest. I'm gonna repeat that at the end. The board has to know that the applicant is being honest. If there's a whiff that the applicant is holding something back or not being totally forthright, the chances of a pardon coming out, a matter of equity, what do you think? Closer to 0. So don't blow it by playing games with a board of pardons. Remember, the Attorney General of the state is on the board. He knows people. Okay, so we're looking what type of clemency is requested. There are boxes to click. We're talking about pardon. These are people who are not inside the walls, not under probation or parole. It's the same form though. So if you run across someone who has been on probation for, I don't know, 15 years? I mean, only Pennsylvania allows this kind of stuff, but 15, you can use the same form. It's a little bit different because you got to get the parole agent, the probation officer to sign off, same form. If your person has been convicted of possession of marijuana and didn't involve beating somebody up, no violence, you check the second box over here on the right, expedited review. So instead of it taking 2 years, checking this box will get you done in 1. Now, you can't check it if I was possessing small amounts of marijuana and robbing a store. Okay, this is just, just one-offs. And you can't this was my one crime where I did it. These are my other crimes when I didn't do it. Nope, It's only for the one crime of as many times as you got picked up and sentenced for small amounts, you can run them through within a year. Have you previously filed clemency application in any state? There's a yes and a no. Okay. Rule number 2, check every box. It is tragic how many of these applications get bounced because people forget to check a box. Back in the old days, which was 2018, they used to put it back in an envelope and send it back to you, all 20 pages of it, saying, please check the right box, and then resubmit. They're not doing it now, but I guarantee you don't check the box, they're gonna not process it, and that's tragedy. Okay, so you would check no. As a matter of fact, I would add something more. I'd write an N/A under date applied, so they know no means no. Okay, and you're down in the applicant information. Preferred salutation. In Philly, we'd say, yo, but that's not what they're asking for. They're asking for Mr. or Ms., right? Or whatever, doctor, first name, middle name, last name, suffix. Okay, very few people know what a suffix is. I had one person write in Mr. there. That's not what a suffix is, but really, who knows? I know because my name is Carl Oxholm III. My nickname is Tobey Oxholm. So on the second line, under aliases and other names, I'd write Tobey Oxholm. And on the first line, I'd say Mr. Carl Oxholm, Roman numeral 3, right? I don't see any head shaking. The answer's wrong. Okay, because I forgot to put N.A. under middle name. If you leave this box blank, I guarantee the application is going from the, we're getting it filed, to the, I have to get back to this, because they need to confirm whether or not the person has a middle name. So if they don't have one, put in N.A. Okay, now we're going down to address, street, city, address, email, right? Apartment number, floor number. Right, you caught it, N.A. if they don't have one. Zip code, email, primary number, secondary phone number. Please have at least one phone number, right? If they have email, please put it in. Name of institution, inmate number, parole number, N.A., 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 right? I mean, right? Because these are not people in prison. An institute, they're not asking where you were, they're asking where you are, which is no longer in prison. All right, down to representation. Self, right? Most of us in the pro bono world are helping these clients finish the form and get it filed. Limited service. Who's going to represent them at the hearing? I don't know. So they say check self. And then it says right after that, proceed to section 3. Don't believe it for a second. Okay? Here's what goes on. Representative name. Sure, if you were the attorney and you were filling out the attorney line down here, you'd check the attorney, and you'd write the attorney's name. And if you're willing to help somebody, be interviewed by the parole officer and get ready for the hearing, bless you, right? Check the attorney and fill in representative's name. But if that's not you, write in the name of their brother or sister, the child, their boss at work, their healthcare worker, a priest, rabbi, or imam, their father or mother, somebody who the Board of Pardons or the parole officer can get in touch with if they can't contact the applicant. You would be, it's a horrible thing to know how many people drop off the table and lose their line in the applications because when it comes time to get their interview with the parole agent, the letter comes back, addressee unknown, left no forwarding address. Or the cell phone number's been changed. And for how many of our clients does that apply to? Like most. This is 2 years we're talking about. So write in the name of a backup. And if it's a family member, check family member. And if it's their priest or rabbi, type in friend. Or if it's your employer, put in friend. Put the telephone number, put the email address, rock and roll, we're on our way. And now we're into convictions for which the clemency is requested. All right, these are the things that you actually, got convicted of. So this is not tough. This is not hard to see. And I'm actually going to show you how easy it is to get this information before you start. And I don't know if Barb's going to be doing this for you in advance, but this is the way we're beginning to do it in advance in where are we doing it? Dauphin County. They're actually going online, finding out about the client in advance and starting to fill out these forms. I'm going to show you how easy this is. But of course, it's up to the client to get there. All right, so we're going to go through a couple things. One is the offenses, one is the date of incident, and the OTN number, right? I'm going to come back to that. The date of the incident is when did the crime occur. The offense is what were the things you were convicted of. And the OTN is the offense tracking number. Because every time you get arrested and booked, you get, and come into the judicial system, you get a number applied to you in the system. And it's going to be on a place you can find really easily. On the right-hand side is in gray, official use only. Gray areas, you don't have to fill in. You used to have to fill them in. You used to have to put the sentence and whether it was a felony or a misdemeanor. You even, this is 2018 I'm talking about, you even had to put the section of the Pennsylvania Criminal Code that you violated. Yeah, down to the sub A and little i's and little ii's, right? And yeah, you're right. If you got it wrong, they send it back to you to get it right. They knew what was right because they could see it on their computer screens. But you don't have to do that anymore, so you don't need to worry. So all this stuff, we're going to come back to this date of incident, offense, and OTN number in a minute. But I wanted to get down to the next one because this is the first time that you as a pardon coach can provide enormous benefit to people. Okay, so describing the incident. What happens if it was 20 years ago? Is it okay to say, I really don't remember it all that carefully? I mean, clearly? The answer is, yeah. Because if you write down something that's wrong and you're attaching the affidavit of the cop who arrested you, who tells a different story, what do you think's gonna happen? Right. The Board of Pardons is gonna think you're lying to them. And there goes violation of rule number 1, and you're a loser. What happens if you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol at the time? Yep, same answer. Write it down. Say, I really don't remember that much. I was under the influence of, I was totally tanked. Whatever it would write, start off by writing it because you're giving some room to your client to remember things the way they honestly remember it, which may not square with the record evidence. And remember, the volunteers, especially at some clinics, may not have much time to help these clients there. They're trying, and if you're providing counseling going forward, it's by phone. This is reminding them, tell the best story you can of how did you come to be arrested. But I got one more problem for you. We know, those of us who are civil lawyers, those of us who read the paper, those of us who listen to any TV channel know that 90 to 95% of the convictions result from plea bargains. And then a boatload of people plead guilty because they don't have the money to post the bail to get out of jail and don't want to stay 6, 8, 10 months waiting for trial before a judge they don't know or a jury they don't know to face the consequences and potential sentencing for 6 to 7 to 8 charges when they can accept the plea and plead guilty to one count of what and be out for time served, right? That's not bad lawyering from the public defender. That's smart economic decision-making. But so what do you write here? If you write here, I didn't do it, or my public defender was terrible, or the judge was a racist, or the jury, any one of those things proves that you've not owned up to what you did. You have not accepted responsibility for what you did. And just like in religion, where you go to confession and say, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, you gotta own what you did in order to get forgiven by the state. So what exactly do you do if the person didn't do it? You counsel them to lie again? Here's the real problem. And in the longer hour-and-a-half programs, you do a little more ethics investigation of this one. But what we've been doing is recommending to clients that they say how they came to be at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people. I was just working with somebody yesterday who got convicted of simple assault because he was in the backseat of a car with his girlfriend and they were having a huge fight. A bystander called the cops. The cops came, yanked them both out of the car. The bystander identified the male as the attacker because he had really long hair. He swears up and down he wasn't punching her out, she was punching him. Now, if you write that story, you know how that's going to sound. I don't care if it's true. So what we talked about was, how did you manage to push her buttons so darn hard that she wanted to take your head off? What did you do about it? What did you do afterwards? Did you apologize to her? Do you know that this was your fault? You got in a fight? Write about it. I was in the back seat having a fight with my girlfriend and things got out of hand and I felt terrible about it ever since. I've apologized for it. And it, you know, it's been, I've never done it again. And the way I got arrested was the cops opened the door, pulled us out and put me in handcuffs. Okay, that's really it. You dodged the question of whose fist was hitting whose face, but you described the situation that is enough in most cases, especially if it happened 20 years ago or 15 or 10, and that's the last thing you did bad, it'll get you through it. Now, you can check this box and get, you know, add more stuff. And if you float all the way down to the bottom of this form, you're going to see more pages just like this, where you can just say page 2, page 3, page. You don't want to do that. You get no credit for writing extra stuff in this section 3, okay? So keep it short and simple, okay? That's it. Now, the next page, conviction, case number 2, same thing. Next page, conviction, case number 3, same thing. If you've got 10 convictions, it does you no good to ask for pardons in 8 of them. You don't get benefits by not being a pig. Either you've turned the corner and you're a different person and you deserve to be forgiven, or you ain't. So fill them all in, as many convictions as the client has. Now it does say down at the bottom, financial obligations satisfied. And those of you who are paying really close attention saw that the 6th document you're supposed to attach to this form is the statement from the court that says, how much do you still owe on your case? Now, you'll be shocked to hear that there are filing fees, court computerization fees. I think the lawyer's concern for lawyer's fee is in there somewhere. And OSP fees, which is, by the way, the state imposes on you a $35 per visit charge for seeing your probation or parole officer. They're expecting you to pay that off, and certainly any restitution that you were ordered to pay. But you don't need to have paid it off when you apply. So you don't need to attach it. It's great if you do. It's a waivable defect if you don't, but just tell the client that they've got to get working on paying off what they owe. Now, there are ways of getting costs and expenses waived. Legal aid knows those things. It's like the informal pauperist stuff. It's a form that can be filed. And in Philly, they go through pretty quickly through waiving, especially the OSP fees. But you have to tell the client they've got to know what the amount owed is, and you'll see it on the form. I'll show it to you in a second. The next section, additional criminal information and driver history. Okay, so aside from the offenses for which you seek clemency, have you ever done anything else bad in your life? That's basically what this says. Now, it does say you're not required to list charges that were expunged. So in Philly, we send our clients through the expungement clinic first, get all of the arrest information that didn't result in a conviction, get the 4 pages of the rap sheet down to 1, and then we say, you know, no more stuff. If they're not, you're going to be having to write down the different charges. The problem is clean slate makes it impossible for you to see those. So what are you going to do? You're going to write down, I can't see them for clean slate, right? Because that's what it is. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, because the first area is you have to say, yes, I have had other involvement with the cops, or no, I ain't. Check the box. The first area is the juvenile area. A lot of our clients would just as soon not talk about what they did when they were kids. Excuse me, isn't that the law? Isn't the juvenile court supposed to be super duper confidential that nobody gets a look inside of? Yeah. So what we're saying is clients who have had involvement with the juvenile justice system write under the lines where it says offenses, something like this. Yes, I had run-ins with the cops when I was a kid. And yes, I'd be happy to talk with you about them, but no, I don't want to write them down in a public place because it violates confidentiality. It's kind of like the equivalent of I object, Your Honor, that, you know, regular people would say. So they can write down, I don't want to talk about it, you know, I don't want to write about it, but I'll talk to you about it. The Secretary of the Board of Pardons says that's just fine. And in fact, when you have an applicant who's 36 years old, who cares what they did when they were 16, right? The board knows this. They're only really looking at things that you did when you were a kid that were serious enough to get you sentenced as an adult. You can ask those questions of those people. They got plenty of time to ask questions. They got 2 years to ask those questions, but not of everybody. So you can object or answer. The next one is the adult charges. We talked about the ones that could be expunged. It could be charges and arrests in the other states. And by the federal system, it all needs to go there. Please tell the clients to be as honest as they can be and remember what they can, because remember, we're talking about a criminal justice agency. The Board of Pardons is a criminal justice agency. They got ways of finding out. And if they find out you were arrested or convicted in Delaware or New Jersey or Maryland and you didn't put it down, what was that first rule again? Right, you're cooked, right? And by the way, if you were convicted of, I don't know, rape in New Jersey, you are not getting a pardon in Pennsylvania for theft, because it won't make any difference in the world to you. And that's one of the things the board's looking for. How is this pardon going to make any difference to you? If you're a rapist, you're a rapist. The fact that you stole some money is not going to change anybody's view of you. And the last section is the traffic citations and tickets. Okay, this again is only asking for out of state. A year and a half ago, they asked for everything you did in state, and they needed you to buy the full PennDOT form. Now they admit they can just call it up on their computer for free. What they're looking for is DWI kind of things, or driving without your license or without registration, or always taking right turns on red against the, going through. They're looking to see if you're thumbing your nose at the state or whether you're being a good person. So if your client has been picking up a lot of parking tickets or travel tickets and basically showing that they're not paying attention to the rules by which the rest of us live, tell them to straighten up. Because if their history is bad on traffic tickets when they're going for the board, they're really putting their future in jeopardy just because they can't figure out how to use their car right. Which brings us to section 5, the optional personal statement. Now, everybody, your clients, yourselves included, you have seen TV. You know that what you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. So no reasonable person would ever blurt out and volunteer anything. Any lawyers on this call will remember the first rule that we give witnesses when we're preparing them for depositions. We say, shut up. Answer only the questions you're asked. Do not volunteer information, right? I mean, come on, I was trained how to do this in 1979. It's still the same instruction. No. This is the most important page in the entire document. This is the page where you should check the bottom and get 2 or 3 or 4 more to keep writing on. This is the page where your client can talk about who they are today and where they're going tomorrow and what their dreams are and how this conviction is holding them back and the kinds of things that they want to do when they are freed of those chains. This is where they say how they kicked their habit, how they've changed their behaviors, how they've learned from the criminal experience they had before, their involvement with the justice system. This is where they write about how they're helping other people and helping other kids or adults not go the same way they went, or helping older folks or whatever it might be. This is their song. This is their narrative. This is where you as a storyteller can help them tell their stories. All of us. None of us. We all need help here, right? Especially if you don't know what's behind the form or what the board's looking for. And this is the area where we want you to start your conversation with your client. Don't start with, so tell me tell me about all your crimes. That's who they were. Start off by saying, so you're here to talk about a pardon. What's going on these days? Tell me something about yourself. Where are you working? You have kids? You have family? What do you do in your spare time? What do you like doing? What are you hoping you'll be able to do when you get your pardon? Get them to start talking about who they are today. This is redefining who they are. This is taking back their personal definition. This is not, check the box, you're a felon, tell me about it. This is you are somebody who deserves dignity and respect. Tell me what's going on. Start on section 5. Don't show them the form. Just start talking with them about who they are. And as soon as they've begun to tell you who they are and what they're doing, you've completed or helped them complete a significant amount of what they're doing. So start here. For my clients, it's taking them 2, 3, 4 drafts. It's best that they draft it themselves. They can type it on a Word document, then you have to cut and paste and put it on the stupid form. That's the rules. You got to deal with it. But have them try it out and email it to you. Help them say, you know, wait a second, when we got together, you told me you did this. You didn't put that in there. Help them figure it out. And when they've done that, they're down to the signature page. This is it. You're honestly done. Can you believe it? This is that simple. They have to sign it. No, it's not because they're facing the penalties of perjury under 18 PACS 4904. No, it's wonderful. I love it. I'll never forget that from the verifications. No, this is a reminder. If they think you're lying, you're cooked. Yes, of course. If you get denied a hearing or denied a pardon, you can reapply in a year. But they're still going to have the file, and you're still going to be a liar. So don't lie. And then when you get down to the bottom, what's required? The court documents. We talked about that. You have to complete and sign the application. That's a duh. There used to be a requirement for color photo. They're not asking for that anymore. I guess they're not longer concerned about what you look like or what color you are. Optional, certificates, diplomas, recommendation letters, supporting documents. This is the stuff you want to attach. You want to attach as many of these as you can. Get letters of recommendation, get certificates from work, get their GED, get badges, get credit ratings, whatever it is. Put together the portfolio of who this person is today. And look, they can use this when they're looking for their next job. Help them put together a portfolio. A lot of our clients don't even know what a letter of recommendation looks like. You may have to help them draft one or contact the people whose name they give you to help write them. It depends how deep you want to go helping them. That's the stuff that's going to matter. And here's the thing. The board says it's optional, which means you don't have to attach these when you file this. You're going to have time because what's going to happen, you're going to mail it down to the Board of Pardons at this address, and they're going to take 30 days to acknowledge they received it. Actually, it's now running to be about 45 due to COVID. And then they're going to spend 6 months going from received to filed. I'm not telling you, I wish it were different, but it's 6 months. So over the period of 6 months, you'll have an application number. They'll give that to you as soon as they admit they've received it. And then you can send in anything else with the application number. And as long as they get it, they'll attach it to the original and it's nailed. Now, what you want to do to make sure that your clients are helped is you keep a copy. And I don't mean make it, a hard copy, make a PDF of it. Because that way they can have the PDF, you can have the PDF, the Bar Association can have the PDF, everybody can have a PDF, and you can keep it for whenever the need arises, and they can save it, and they won't lose it in one of their moves. So that's really all it is. Now, before we're done, I want to show you the last thing, which is how you find, wait a second, the, UJS portal. There it is. This is how you're going to, yeah.
We've just got about 12 minutes left.
I'm going to take 1 minute on this. This is showing how fast you can find out the criminal record of anybody you want. You go to ujsportal.pa.courts.us, pacourts.us. You see it up here? Okay. You open it up and you look for this yellow file and you click it. And then you go down to case information, you go to docket sheets, public dockets, and you look for criminal courts, and you click that. And you come to criminal courts docket sheets, common pleas docket sheets, and you come down here, and it docket numbers. You don't know the docket number, so you hit participant name. 3 clicks, 3 clicks. And all you need is last name, first name. Those are the only 2 star things. Now you do need to say, I want a criminal docket. But all you need is the first name and last name. So yeah, you can see I've looked for my name a couple times. I'm not telling you what comes up, but I'm going to put in a name here of Flood and first name is Brandon. Okay, criminal, and I'm going to hit search. And ta-da! In less than 1 second, we now know the criminal record of one Brandon Flood. And I'm going to show you what this, over the left on the magnifying glass, which you need a magnifying glass to see, it says docket sheet or court summary. Docket sheet is the individual case. The court summary is the whole thing. So I'm going to go to court summary. And here you go. And here is the court summary for Brandon James Flood. Aliases, Brandon Flood and Brandon James Flood. So now you know what the aliases are. Here are the cases. This is a summary case with no disposition, not talking about that. Here is there's one case here with the arrest date of February 2nd, 2005. Here in the center is the 3 crimes manufacturer delivery with percent to manufacturer delivery, actually at 3 times, 3 guilty pleas. So on this one event, this is section 3, first one, you're gonna write these you're gonna cut and paste that into line 1, line 2, and line 3, okay? You are also gonna look, remember, for the OTN, the offense tracking number, right here. You take it from right there. Now what here is the arrest date, okay? And the arrest date is not always the same thing as the incident date, right? Because the form wants to know when the incident date is. So you have to go back to the and I'm looking at, this is case number 1528 of 2005, 1528 of 2005. All right, here it is, it's the third one. Come over here to the docket sheet, click that one, and please work. Yes, there is the docket sheet. So this has a date filed, 5/5, a date initiated, 5/5, an arrest date, 2/2, a complaint date, 2/2, and the offense date, which was 12/15/2004. So 2 months earlier, who knew, right? Now, honestly, the Board of Pardons doesn't care which date you use, whether it's the offense date or the arrest date, because nobody tracks it by the arrest date. But if you can go into the document and find the offense date, put it in under incident date. I'm trying to get them to understand that there is no such thing as an incident date on this form. There's just an offense date. If they really want offense date, then ask for it. But really, why don't you ask for the arrest date, which you can get so easily? Whatever, this is what it looks like. And at the end of all of these things, which just kind of says all the things that went on, there will be a page like this, case financial information. Now, this person got a pardon. And the reason I can tell you I'm sure he got a pardon is he is the secretary of the Board of Pardons. Yeah, no kidding. He got a pardon. So here, part of the deal is you have to pay off your fines and penalties. This man paid them all off. He had, let's see down at the bottom, I don't know, whole lot's fines, costs, $600, $1,400, 840 bucks down here. And look at all these things. Certification fees from Dauphin County, State Court, Commonwealth Court, Crime Victims Compensation, Domestic Violence Compensation, Witness Service Act, Firearm Education Act, Substance Abuse Act. You know, the courts are loading everything on there. But this is how you can find out how much they owe. And this is the page you show the client that says, this is how much you owe. We got to figure out a way of paying it off or getting it waived. But we had 2 years to do this. So you don't need to worry about it now. And that really is it. You get everything else from the docket or from the summary. This is easy to do. The form is only 4 pages long. And what you're really talking about is helping them get the application filed. So when it comes right down to it, what we are asking you to do is make sure they're 100% open and honest. They own the crime. They show remorse for it. They give a compelling personal narrative, their story about how they've changed. They talk about their goals and good reasons why a pardon is so important. And to the extent you can get them, first, when you file it, and as long after that as anything good or bad comes in, if they're getting turned down from jobs, add that as proof that they need the pardon. Send this other stuff in. Because if you really put this package together, that is an excellent application. And your chances of getting a pardon are better than 8 in 10. This is an amazing time for regular, ordinary Americans, not the ones waiting for a pardon from President Trump where you got to know, a Kardashian or somebody. This is for everyday people. The doors are open. Restorative justice is flowing out of the Board of Pardons, and the time is unreal. Don't waste it. Get your pardon applications in, and you can help. And with that, Barb, I am done. I should have saved at least 5 minutes for questions. So why don't we start?
Okay, I just wanted to say a few things about the project. These clients have been vetted and screened for eligibility. So we're hoping that they're strong applicants for you. And a lot of the documents and information we'll have already assembled for you. But as Tobey mentioned, we're looking for that part, that storytelling part the lawyers are good at. To really complete this application and to double check everything that I put in in that form. I'm sure I'm going to mess up at some point, so please double check each and every line with the client. Nisha Krishnan is our law student that's working with us on the project. She's here on the call somewhere, so you may be hearing from Nisha during the course of this project. And I saw a few questions in the chat, so maybe we should get those answered before we go on.
I want to show people one last thing. This is our website, pulsephilly.org. We have, it's designed for clients to use directly, so you can read about expungements, pardons, self-help. There's a video library that explains every section of the form, and it has peer-to-peer videos where people can talk about what the process is. Those are explanations from lawyers, peer-to-peer advice from clients. These are 9 videos on how to fill it out. These are easy for people to do. I guarantee we're not going to leave you with a lurch. And even if you slept through the entire hour, you can go listen to Joe tell stories for any one of these different sections.
If I can just interrupt, I'm sorry, this is Kelly. I just need to launch the second CLE poll box. And then Barbara, feel free to continue.
One of the questions, Toby, is can you, once you submit the application, can you continue to submit supporting documentation, letters of recommendation, et cetera? Yes.
Yes, you have to put the court documents. They will not accept it unless you get the documents out of court for the convictions. But all the other stuff, certificates, add them anytime as you want. The turn down letters, all you have to do is get the application number, which you get as soon as the first packet's received, apply it, make a PDF of it, and send it in.
A question about, you kind of talked about this, the date of the incident. What if someone was convicted of selling drugs? So the police report lists numerous dates. You only need to put one date. Sounds like
just one date. Yep.
Okay. Another question is, how long since their last conviction do they have to wait to apply? The law doesn't set out a time limit, but as you discussed, it's advisable to wait some time. 5 years is kind of the benchmark so that the applicant has an opportunity to demonstrate how they've changed their life.
Yeah, and for those who have committed crimes of serious violence or sex, they want 10 years. And so you can start applying after 8. But Barb is exactly right. They want to see 5 at the time of the hearing, which means 3 successful since you've completed your sentence.
I just want to, another thing I want to add before we go, as I said, we've talked with these clients, we think they're strong applicants, but they may reveal something in that conversation that you have with them that we're not aware of, that we didn't discover. And if you think that for some reason it's not an appropriate time for them to apply for a pardon because of something that you've learned subsequent to our referral to you, please let us know. We'll talk through it. We'll decide whether to go forward or not. You know, we don't want surprises. The client doesn't, you know, want to go through that process and then, you know, at the very end. So it's better to get it all out now. So let us know if anything comes up.
Yep, and that's the right way to do it. Sometimes, you know, the form doesn't ask what you did in Jersey or Ohio, and so you won't know that coming in.
Mm-hmm. And are there any recommended changes in working with clients and getting signatures with respect to COVID?
Actually, that's a really, really good question. The last page, which is signature, if you're actually helping your client do this remotely and you're doing all the typing the words in and doing the essays and transferring it from their Word version to the form version, you are allowed to sign that last page yourself. You sign it, your name signed for, and you write the name of the client. The board, the staff will begin doing the review to find out if you've satisfied everything for it to get filed. Right now, it's just received, but between received and filed, they're checking all this stuff. They will not allow it to be filed until they get the client's original signature. That's now taking 6 months. So don't wait so you can have the meeting with your client. If the client has signed off on it, you sign it for the client, get your PDF of it, put it in the mail, get the clock going. You want this Board of Pardons to review it at 82%. Yes, get it in, get them in line, and then send in this signed verification page.
So we are at 1 o'clock. I want to thank all of you for attending. Thank you so much, Toby, for your passion behind this work and for taking time out to do this presentation today. You'll be hearing from me about taking a case, and we're here to answer any questions and support you throughout this process. I can't wait for you to hear the stories that I've been hearing from the applicants. I think you'll really, I think you'll get a lot of satisfaction out of helping them. And
Thank you, everybody. Good luck.
I'm going to sign off. Thank you.
Bye-bye.